Hello, everyone. It's been a while since I've released concurrent videos, so I'm going to try and get better at that. Today's video is going to be on three of Howard Limher's videos that I happen to have some hot takes on. I'm going to be reviewing what he says in them, his opinions and such. Basically, I disagree with a lot of what he says. And I also disagree with a video he had posted. I guess not him, but someone had posted, and he linked to it. If you go into Howard Limher's Animations podcast playlist, you will see creating an animated series on YouTube with Howard Limher's The Pond Cast. Pond is in a body of water. And in that video, it's basically a guy asking Howard how he would go about making animated series, or how people can go about making animated series, which I think is utterly ironic because Howard says in the video that he would never, well, maybe not never, but he's not really in the mood to make an animated series of any sort. He likes what's going on with his animations, and he doesn't feel like changing that. But I just don't understand why they had him on to discuss a topic he's not even remotely interested in doing himself in regards to animation. They'd be like bringing him on in regards to how someone would start a stop motion animation. It'd be pointless. And a lot of his takes in it I really don't agree with. I'm not going to go all for all of them, but I don't really agree with a lot of what he says in it, which I know. Right, coming from me, my channel. I actually had a comment a little bit ago that said something along the lines of your channel is basically dedicated to bashing Howard Limher's, which I think is funny. I'm sure it's around somewhere in my channel's videos regarding Howard, but it's there. And I will say, no, my channel is not, built upon dissing Howard. I say, ironically, is that this video is about going to be dissing Howard, at least his takes. He's just easy to make content from, because a lot of what he says is wrong, and he's very confident with it. And I don't really like how he tries to, FOMO his audience, and it's not something I see from any other animator doing in such a scummy way. So he's an easy target, to just think of an idea and roll with it, turn on the mic, say stuff about it. It's a little bit harder to do that with other channels. And it's just an easy way of getting videos out whenever I feel like posting them, And in regards to my, going off topic again, in regards to my series that I'm working on, it's going to be half comic, half animated series. And the first episode I'm splitting up into two parts, so that way I can post part one and then I can post part two. Part one is I would say close to halfway done, because I've got 23 comics scenes for the part one, and they're not voice acted yet, but they will be. But I'm just waiting on help from a fellow artist that I am paying to help me. And that takes time because they're busy as I am also busy. So it's hard to collaborate, But anyways, let's go into the review and see what we have to say about Howard's opinions.
Are you an artist in a creative field and are not able to find work right now? My name is Howard Wimshurst. I've been a self-employed independent 2D animator for over 12 years, and let's just say animation is not well known for its job security at the best of times. Later in the video, I'll tell you about this course I've made, which is a crash course in the business of animation, and it's available on my website. But first thing you need to know is this work drought that artists and animators are finding themselves in is not just the animation industry, it's a bunch of industries. It's kind of everybody's problem, so don't think it's just you. If you're watching this video, you're probably struggling to find work, or perhaps you're watching this to prepare for a time in your future where maybe you will be struggling to find work. So my first bit of advice is let your network of friends and family know that you're looking for work. If you think about all the people you know, and then all of the people they know, that's a lot of people, and you're only 1 degree of separation removed. If you let your friends know, including your non-artistic friends, they might make a connection between your need and somebody else's need. People are naturally problem solvers. They get satisfaction in making these kind of connections. If you're embarrassed about telling them that you're looking for work, it's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's a fact of life that for the majority of us, work doesn't flow consistently. It's not because you rolled the dice wrong. Sometimes you can just roll the same number 10 times in a row. It's just how life is, and it's okay to ask for help, especially if asking for help is something as small as asking, hey, if you know anyone who needs animation work, can you put me in touch? My next tip.
Stupid. This point is stupid. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. It's dumb. Okay, so a lot of people, if you tell your parents, I don't want to work construction. I want to be an artist. I want to be an animator. They will either there's 3 things. One, they'll be supportive, and they're supportive. That's, I'm going to be honest, that's more rare, but cherish your folks because they're saints. But the other 2 options are much more likely. B, they begrudgingly accept that you want to be an artist / animator, and not only like they tolerate it. Or C, they dislike it, they think it's a waste of time, and they wish you were doing something more professional or whatever. Well, okay, so the thing about that is, if you're going up to your folks and you're telling them, Mom, Dad, Grandpa, Grandma, whoever you live with, whatever, if you go up to them and you tell them, guys, I don't need any work. Do you have any work I could do? Can you tell people I need work? That's only going to reinforce what they already assumed, which is that it's not worth the effort, and that it's basically a big waste of their child's time. And if you tell your friends and any other family that is not, your guardians, a lot of the time, they're just going to shrug at you. I don't know what he's going on about here, about how, hey, it's like an episode of Telephone or whatever. Like, oh yeah, hey, could you tell your friends, could you put out that I need animation? I'm an animator and I'm willing to work for people. And then they go out and they tell people, and then they go out and they tell people. Well, for one thing, that's not going to happen. I don't even know why he's offering this as some sort of solution. You can just post it online in commissions. Why on earth are you going to your friends and family who probably don't even care about animation, unless all your family's a bunch of artists like Howard's is? But if not, then they're not going to be able to help you. This is just kind of a fruitless effort here. Bad advice. Yeah, just not very good. Terrible.
Brainstorm with your friends. This is what I did, and in this video you're actually hearing some of the ideas that we came up with, and I was writing their ideas down when we were talking about this topic. So it is a very powerful thing just to have a few friends, maybe for coffee or for a meal, and bring this topic up and rack their brains for solutions. Okay, my next tip might expand your mind a little bit if you haven't thought this way before. Okay, let's say you're an animator like me. Your profession is not animation, it's actually larger than that. Your profession is in visual communication. Okay, so if you've been seeing yourself as an animator or an artist before that, expanding that to visual communication hopefully opens up the doors to some options and alternatives that you hadn't thought of before. Have you considered crafting things physically? One person I know, they're an animator. When work started to dry up, they went into tattoo art. That was their fallback option, that plan B. People love getting custom tattoos, and this artist has a unique art style that lends itself quite well to tattoo art. And so that's their alternative that they're currently pursuing right now. She's finding quite a lot of success. A lot of the people I talk to who are struggling to find work is because they're almost exclusively exploring options online only, in the online space. And the internet is very saturated right now. Everyone's on the internet and it's a crowded place. It's harder than ever to stand out among this crowd, and a lot of people online are very talented, and all of people's attention tends to get diverted towards these few people at the top. But the advantage of doing something in person, in the real world where you occupy a physical space, is that separates you from other artists. The fact that you could turn up to your local establishment, your local shop, and paint their sign for them, that's something the best illustrator in the world who lives over in China, they can't do that because physically they are not in the same local space as you. Creating physical goods, creating signage, these are things that you will become open to if you see yourself as a visual communicator and you understand that you are actually in the business of visual communication and you're not just in the business of animation. Giving yourself permission to expand your horizons and do more things and do things that are in person. These in-person things, you can actually charge a premium because of your location, because there are far fewer people in your local area who are able to provide those kind of services.
Again, this is basically like the other one. Granted, it's not as bad as the take, but it's still pretty bad. Offering a premium just because you happen to be the local artist to draw horses or whatever, metaphor he was going for there. They could just not hire you or whatever. I just don't see much of a point in being a local artist. Because a lot of people will just buy art online and then get it printed online, get it sent online. It's all online. What is he talking about? A lot of the animation work. If he's saying like you need to broaden your horizons, I mean, again, that's one thing. If you have other skills, develop them. But it's honestly sounding like he's basically saying if you're better at being like a tattoo artist or an illustrator or any other talent, it honestly sounds like Howard's telling you just to go to pursue that and just kind of give up on animation. That's what it sounds like to me. I don't really know if any other way of putting it other than that, because he's like, well, you're not making money from it, so let's see if you can make money off of something else. If you're doing better at that, I mean, like, he might as well just be telling you to go flip burgers at McDonald's. If you're, you got a knack for it, from what he's saying.
Okay, so the other angle I want to approach this from is the angle of the customer. So there are lots of people out there who need artwork, but when is the time in their lives when they are prepared to spend money on something a little bit extra, not just the essentials of their life like food, running water, and electricity? When is a time in regular people's lives where they're prepared to spend a premium? It's major life events, things like christenings, birthdays, weddings, funerals, okay? This is what I'm getting at. So I want to draw your attention to these days in particular. How can you craft a service, an artist-led service around these particular things? I'm going to continue with my list. Parties, caricatures, wedding portraits, personalized products. Another idea for how you can get more ideas for what to provide to people is this idea of turning services into products and turning products into services. Teaching your skills to others in the classroom, teaching life drawing class, art therapy with kids and adults, helping them work through their trauma through art. These are things you might have never considered doing, but these are things that everyday people would be willing to pay good money for. As an independent animator, I always have a few dormant side hustles that are ready for me to stoke life back into if I run into a dry period of work. If you find yourself high and dry, maybe that's a sign to ramp up your side hustle. Now, if you think about a stereotypical side hustle, these are non-artistic things like driving Uber, meal delivery service, waiting tables, working behind the bar. There's nothing wrong with these options, and you should be exploring these options if you find yourself unemployed and out of work. And these are things that are local to you, therefore you have a chance of getting them because of where you live. But I think the closer the side hustle is to your ideal career, the better. So for this, I'm focusing more on artistic side hustles. Don't just go with one of these stereotypical side hustles because everyone's doing it. See if you can find one that aligns with the skill set that you want to be doing for the rest of your life. Or failing that, one that you would find fun. Or failing that, one that you would find easy. There are also these parallel disciplines that are creative in some kind of way that might not be using drawing skills. Perhaps you are good at playing a musical instrument, in which case maybe you should consider busking. I often talk about life events and constructing services around those life events because people are willing to pay more. Perhaps you have a good camera like me, in which case, why don't you consider setting up a wedding photography service? This is a major life event for people. They're prepared to spend extra money, and you can make good money as a wedding photographer. But think about the other life events. What about being a photographer on the hospital ward where babies are being born? You know, taking those professional level photographs of newborn babies with the parents' permission, being hired to do that, actually selling those photos to the parents. I heard that from a photography channel and I thought it was just an ingenious idea for a business. I want to give you another story. This was told by Errol Gleason, who teaches business to graphic design students and art students. He had a great story of a student who said she wasn't having much success with graphic design. And he said, "What do you like to do?" And she said, "Well, I love to paint horses." So he said, "Okay, tomorrow we're going to take the day off of learning and we're going to go to a stables and you're going to set up your painting station with your paint and your easel at the stables and you're going to just spend the day painting horses." But he took her to a spot where the horse owners would walk by and see her painting the horses. And just for that one day that she was painting, she got several commission requests from horse owners who were walking past, noticed that she was painting horses and were able to admire the lovely painting that she was making. They would start up a conversation with her and they would say, "Well, I have a horse. Could you paint me with my horse as a portrait commission?" Right? So she got loads of commission requests and that could be the start of a career, right? So I think this was really smart for two reasons. First of all, the customer base is horse owners and typically horse owners have expendable income. So that's the first reason this is smart. The second reason is that she was doing her craft in a public place where she could be observed. Now that is always preferable to being in a private place where you aren't observed. Because I don't like to work outside with my animation workspace because I get a load of screen glare, the way I get around this is by recording my screen and uploading that on social media. But think about how you can work on your art in a place where you can be observed by the public, and that's going to open you up to lots of opportunities from these chance encounters. Another way to generate ideas is,
again, it just sounds like he's telling you just don't work in animation. If you're better at, you're drawing horses, and he even says, as a career, if you're better at photography and you're getting more money off of it, he's basically telling you just go there, do that instead. Like at that point, if you have the skills to like be a professional photographer of all things, like you've sunk like hundreds of hours into photography. And not just talking about also the money for the photography as well. Well, then you might as well just be a photographer and forget about animation. A lot of what he's talking about, it's just him. It just feels like it's just him trying to say like, well, if you ain't made money off of it, what good are you at it? So he's like, I maybe you should think of something else as a career choice instead. Which is funny because then, like a couple weeks later, he makes a business animation course, which is awful. Do not recommend it. See my previous video, like a couple weeks back, in regards to that. But yeah, it's not. I wouldn't accept his advice. You're working another job so you can do animation. You don't want to have the other job be taking the role animation had as a career for you. It's just something to help you get by, and I don't think he's really explaining that well to people. If that's what he's trying to say.
okay, another idea, turning services into products and turning products into services. I actually have a personal example of this. When I had a quiet period where there wasn't much work coming in for me, I finally took the opportunity to make the kind of product for animators that I wished existed, combining animation reference with timed life drawing sessions. And I did this with my wife, my partner, and we call it Motion Lab. And I believe it's the best way to practice animation. Whenever I want to keep my drawing skills fresh with a live drawing session, I'll use Motion Lab to make an animation. I post that animation online and I let people know, hey, by the way, I made this with the help of a great tool for animators. I'm even promoting Motion Lab right now, so I'm just giving you an example. And that's another tip I want to tell you. When you make something, when you make a product,
Chill. Basically, this is him, saying buy Motion Labs because it's the best way of capturing reference Howard has ever seen, and the animation he uses to showcase that is it's rotoscope. That's it. Again, you don't need that. You don't need Motion Labs. You don't need to give Howard and his wife more money for something that was stupidly easy to make, that you too can make, honestly, at your house. You got a video camera. You got a phone, a laptop. If you have any of those things, and well, for a phone, I suppose you would need someone to like hold it for you. But if you any of those things, basically you can just do what he does for Motion Labs, unless you're not an acrobatic type of person, and in that case, you can also just look it up online. There's like plenty of kung fu movies, just generic stuff you can just look at to get what you want. Like you can get that. You don't really need Motion Labs, considering the fact it's just him and his wife doing somersaults and backflips and crap. You can do that. I can do that. Anyone can do that. Well, maybe not anyone, but a lot of people can. You don't need to see Howard walk from one end of the room to the other and then pay him $25 or whatever it is for Motion Labs. That is one thing I will say. At least Motion Labs is cheaper than all of his courses. But basically, what he's trying to tell you right here in this part is, whenever it's like really slow for Howard, that's when he makes his courses. And considering the fact that he keeps making the courses, I assume it keeps being slow. So, but people are still buying them. Hope they're getting their money's worth out of it. That's not sarcasm at all.
Or a service that's really good. Don't hide your light under a bush. Tell people about it. Keep them updated on your social media and in person. It's a really important part of business, and it's free to tell someone that you made something. I hate that people feel like they have to be humble about everything they make. I think that's really stupid. And if you want to be successful in business and you want commissions and opportunities to come your way, you have to ignore that social norm of humility, and you have to promote your services. And this can be a difficult mental prison for you to break out of, but you have to do it. This culture of humility is terrible for animators' careers. It's terrible for artists' careers. It's going to be uncomfortable at first, but it's important. Now,
Yeah, he likes to say that a lot. The humble artist is not as powerful as the Giga Chad Howard Woodhurst, who is completely overconfident and arrogantly so. Yeah, no. Look, no one's saying to be humble all the time. If you put out good work, say, "Hey, I put out really good work," but don't be like Howard here and just be like, "Oh yeah, my stuff's so good, it's impossible to for it not to be like this awesome, and I should be getting paid like $500 just to hear words come out my mouth and all this blah 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 blah." He is the exact opposite of humble. He's arrogant. That just sums him up pretty well.
I want to talk here about savings. Do you have savings? If you do, maybe this work drought is a sign that you should work on your bucket list project. Most people, if you ask them, they have some kind of dream project that they have been putting off until a time where they feel like they're ready. If you're not getting work right now, maybe the time to make that project is right now with what you have right now. If you're not getting work, then time's going to go by where you're not getting paid. But that doesn't mean you can't be doing something productive within that time. And in fact, now that I look back on my career, when I'm working, I wish I had the freedom to work on my passion project. When I'm working on my passion project, I'm worried and guilty that I should be working. So just think about that. Are you seeing this work drought as a problem, or are you seeing it as an opportunity? Nowadays, I see it as an opportunity. And yes, part of that is because I have some savings, so I feel secure. I can understand that if you don't have any savings and you're at some kind of financial risk, then I understand why you would not see this as an opportunity. Yeah, I don't really know how to help you there. That's a tough one. But I can tell you that the precursor to having savings is living within your means. So during the good times when you're getting hired and you're making lots of money, if you live in a way where you're not spending everything you're making, that's going to really pay off later down the line when work dries up and you need a little nest egg of savings. For me, I usually have a film project idea that I would love to work on, but don't have the time. This year, there was a month where I didn't have a job lined up, and I leapt at that opportunity to create a film. It was just a 30-second film that I made in that month called Karen Was Right, and you can actually watch that here on YouTube, and it was very cathartic for me because it was just this crazy idea that I had while listening to a track, and I really enjoyed making it. And that was so rewarding. I didn't see that month as being a problem. I saw it as being an opportunity, and I think you can too. I understand that it's a bit difficult to enjoy yourself when you have the uncertainty where you don't know when the next work is gonna come in. I get that, but make the most of that time. Don't spend that whole time just wringing your hands or feeling depressed about your situation. Definitely make the most of it, because there are gonna be times in your career where you're swamped with work that's paying you, but you'll look out the window and you'll just wish that you had some free time to work on your own stuff. Now, if you don't have a passion project, like a bucket list project that you want to work on, an alternative to that is to join a challenge. Some examples of challenges are Huevember or Inktober. They're daily challenges that you engage in for a month, where you kind of given prompt ideas for what to draw during that time, or you could animate for Inktober or Huevember. And you don't have to join these challenges during a scheduled month. You can do them at any time. You could do Inktober in January, who cares, right? It's about you. It's about making something for your portfolio, working on a project. A daily commitment to draw or animate is a great challenge to take on. It will push you to learn, and for that month, your social media account will look amazing. For a lot of artists, the time that they were doing a challenge was the most productive time. And sometimes, despite the time pressure, they accidentally create their best work. I've seen it happen. During Inktober, they create the best drawing they've ever done. So this is a great option if you don't have any ideas for what to work on during a work drought. I recently did a challenge where I made a whole animated short film in just 24 hours. That was a very productive 24 hours, and it's because I took on this challenge. I believed in myself, but even if I didn't believe in myself, I thought, well, I want to test my abilities. Let's just go for it. Let's just try it out. And you can see that video. It's up on my channel, and I'll link it at the end of this video. So I want to get into more tips and tricks, but I realized,
wow, this man is literally just filled with terrible advice. Okay, if you have savings, don't waste your savings. Basically, when you're working and you're getting paid, and you have enough money to like pay for rent, food, and all that other good stuff. Anytime you have not doing that, any so-called free time you have, that should be dedicated to whatever you want. That should be dedicated to spending time with family, friends, hobbies. But if you happen to have any projects, dedicate that time to that. I do not recommend blowing through all of your savings on the project that you're making, because that project is not going to have a return on the investment for a decent bit. At least it wouldn't be one that you can easily foresee. You know what I'm saying? Like when it came to Vivian Madrano and her pilot for Has Been Hotel, she was actually working on a bunch of shows before making the pilot, and the pilot itself cost money to make, but she was also working at the same time she was making it, and hiring people to help her make it as well, so that would cost money. And so you basically don't want to do the exact opposite of what Howard said. Your project is meant for any time you have when you're not trying to survive, basically. I would not suggest using all of your savings just so that you could have more time to spend on your own project. Coming from someone working on their own project.
I'm going to tell you my strategy, and I'm going to outline this with 12 bullet points, and this is how I do things. I want you to consider each of these as individual points that you can take or leave. One that you'll know about me already, but I have direct access to customers. I've invested a lot of hours in social media, but the way I see it is this is me having direct access to customers. In many circles in animation, in illustration, you're taught to seek out an agent, and the agent is going to be the one that solves all of your problems. Once you get yourself an agent, you'll never have to worry about talking to a client ever again.
What? What? No. Okay. I don't know what he's talking about here. I've never once heard of an artist saying, "Oh, I've got an agent. You need to talk to my agent." I don't even think Vivian Madron. Well, actually, she might. But okay, but other artists online, they're their own agent. I don't know what he's going on about here. No artists that I know of, at least, aside maybe Vivian Madron. Even that one's a maybe. None of them have agents. That's like a Hollywood thing, specifically for Hollywood. Voice actors do, at least the high tier ones that live in Hollywood. They have agents, but a lot of people that you'd find on Discord or YouTube or wherever, they don't have agents. They just have an email that you can go and they show off their work, and they're like, if you like the work, commission me. That's who a lot of people. That's majority of people online that are artists. That's how they get work. They just leave their emails open and say, hey, if you want to commission me, or they leave a Discord or whatever. They leave a link to somewhere, somehow. They don't go through agents, Howard. That's a thing in the movies. That thing does not really exist online for the thousands of animators / artists out there.
And really, what is an agent? An agent is a middleman who takes a big cut of the money with the direct access to your customers. These are potential customers, potential clients. So I just try and make a video, and I try and get that video seen by as many people as possible in the relevant space of animation. Once I do, I can actually, it's not going to sound good when I say it, but I can funnel them, a traffic funnel where I can get a steady stream of people to see my work, to see what it is I'm already doing, to also put the message out to them that, hey, I'm open for business. You can actually work with me here. And to bring them through to my website, to my email if they want. Give them the option to email me, send me an email, and it will arrive in my inbox. From there, I have the high ground, a steady stream of emails of different people wanting to work with me. Out of them, I can choose to accept and reject different ones, and that's where I have my freedom. But it starts with having direct access to my customers, having outreach to my customers. The less steps there are between you and the customer, the bigger the cut you're able to take home. So the more people you have in between, the more people are taking the cut, the less goes home with you. Number 2.
Again, I can't really stress this enough. You don't. Agents aren't an actual thing that most artists have to struggle with. They aren't. I don't know why he thinks that, but he's wrong. At least for most artists that are online. And again, this is from his business animation course. So he's basically saying, if you pay me, you get access to such revolutionary ways of thinking about how to get commissions, like setting up an email or any way for them to be able to contact you and order an art piece from you, an animation, commission you. The first number 1 is have an email, no duh, or something, anything you could even have live on the shore, and then whenever they want animation, you have them put the paper in a bottle. And then they send it off to you, and that's how you get anything, any way of communication, for the people online to be able to get to you. And the first thing he comes up with is have a stupid email, no duh, bud. Everyone has an email. Everyone, literally, you can't even get a Discord or a YouTube or whatever without an email. Why did people pay him? This is not revolution. This isn't something like awe inspiring. Like you wouldn't have been able to figure out that you needed that. This is just basic common sense stuff. What?
Specific offering. And with this, of course, it's hand-drawn animation. That's my niche, that's what I offer. I'm not offering search engine optimization, even though I can. I'm not offering illustration. I used to, and this is how I learned this. I realized that I'm offering animation and illustration. There are so many illustrators who are better at illustration than me. Why am I trying to compete with people who can do it way better than me? Why not focus on the one that I am good at, which is hand-drawn animation? Okay, if I'm a client and I want hand-drawn animation, will I choose someone who specifies hand-drawn animation? That's what they do. Or will I choose someone who does hand-drawn animation and illustration? I can't really decide. Am I an illustrator? Am I an animator? I'm not really sure. Which one's stronger? The stronger one is this one, the one, this is what I do. Get specific. I get offers by these people who say, I can work your website for you. I can edit your videos for you. I could do your thumbnails for you. I could also help you with your animation in-betweening. I can do a bit of coding. I'm thinking to myself, you can't be world class at all of those things. You would not be my first choice for any of those categories. So, specific offering. Number 3, never chase or apply. So never chase a client is something you'll hear me say a lot, most likely, if you spend any time with me. Never chase a client. And this one is one that I imagine there's a lot of people who will say, well, that's all good for you, man. That's fine for you. You're in a lucky situation. You don't have to go out there and apply. Or maybe there isn't a particular job, a particular studio placement that you want, Howard. So I can understand how that applies to you, but it doesn't apply for me. Fair enough. All I'm saying is that I have had success by never chasing a client. I want you to think about this. If you contact someone out of the blue, what is the likelihood that person actually wants you? Okay, now what is the likelihood if that client comes to you and emails you and asks you if you can work together? What's the likelihood that they want to work with you? It's 100%. It's a 100% likelihood. By applying, by chasing, by going into DMs, by going into emails, you're talking with people who are not at a stage where they're going to want to work with you. And you're going to have to do so much hard work to convince them that animation is what they need. Unless you do a kind of spam outreach thing, which is what a lot of people do. The spamming approach can work, but is it something that you should be spending your time doing as an animator? Now this is going to upset a lot of people because a lot of people, their dream is to be an animator at A1 Pictures, Kyoto Animations or Disney or DreamWorks. It's been their lifelong ambition. Fair enough. If it's your lifelong ambition and that's your end goal, consider why don't you try and make it as a bigger goal to get so good at animation by focusing on animation, by animating all the time, that those studios actually contact you. And this is a really amazing thing when it happens. One more.
I love how in the business animator course that this is literally like this video itself is like pulled from. He's literally referencing that if you're like there, if you're you spent $500 and you want to be an animator at one of these animation companies, you do you. Okay, Howard, I'm not entirely sure you understand your audience. If they're here to learn how to get animation commissions, which by the way I can't stress enough how much you do not need his business animation course. I've already gone through it. I've given a review on it, and but you're defeating the purpose here, Howard, because if you're selling in a course to show people how to get commissions, why are you referencing that they can just try really hard and go work at a studio instead? It's kind of self-defeating prophecy here, bud. But anyways, if you get hired and you're so good that Disney and Pixar and all them and like all these animation studios are like fighting to get to you, you're not watching Howard Wimhurst to get tips and tricks. You're doing your own special thing, like you're like Vivian like Madrano levels of like fame or whatever. You're not paying attention to whatever this man here is talking about. He's not he's not on your radar. You know, I don't know why he included that part. It's just kind of funny. Just get really good and to the point where they can't ignore you. I'm like, okay, well, why? That's not happening with the people that are watching Howard Wimhurst stuff to learn how to get, you know, commissions from.
Point. I treat my business like I treat dating. So,
Oh dear God. Okay, I remember this part now. This is the part where I was like, it's the part where I was thinking like, oh my God, I'm gonna need to make a video on this because it's so funny. Um, I'm just gonna let him take it from here.
with dating, the most unappealing thing you can do is be needy. Asking them again and again, oh, when will you go out with me? Why not be the one exclusive? Hard to get. Playing hard to get, right? It works in business just as well as it works in romance and relationships. You want to be something to aspire to. Something where a studio or a client can say, man, one day I'm hoping that I can book Howard for a gig. That would be really a great achievement. If we get a deal going where he can book some of his time, some of his precious time, it completely changes the dynamic around. Don't be the chaser, because the power dynamic is never going to be in your favor if you're the one chasing.
The power dynamic is never in your favor if you're the one being needy. Okay, in regards to, let me just get it out of the way, the very first thing about the dating. If that's what he thinks going into a relationship, that it's really bad to be needy because you're giving power away, that's that alpha male bull crap that you hear a lot these days. That don't do that. Don't be like that. It's not a competition. And if he treats business like he does dating, he sounds like the jealous type because he's an extremely greedy person in general. So, but that's an assumption on my part, of course. But yeah, no, don't do whatever he just said about that. Do not do that in regards to dating. No one likes it when the person's all like aloof or whatever he's talking about. That's a movie thing. No one actually likes that. If basically just put it out there, like don't be that type of person that I suppose. Don't be the type of person that's like really like clingy, I suppose. Sending 25 messages a day to make sure the person's still breathing. But also don't be what Howard said here, which is the person that sends one message a year to let their partner know that they're still breathing. You gotta hit that balance. I don't know why Howard doesn't like to hit that balance, but he doesn't hit the balance. It's your relationship. It's not a competition in any way. Even when it comes to like dealing with like companies, a lot of it is you and whatever company you happen to be with, you're working towards the same goal. It's just you have a different matter of perspective as to how that goal gets achieved. So basically, just be a cooperative person, not antagonistic like Howard wants you to be. Don't be like that. That doesn't help anyone. And in regards to what he was talking about, in regard the animation stuff, if this man is completely he's narcissistic. He is. I've said this so many times before, but I keep having to say it because he's like Disney animation producer is like sitting at his desk like daydreaming. He's like, one day maybe we could hook up with Howard Wimhurst. Like I don't know what he's talking about. This man is like he's acting like he's telling like any animator that happens to be taking his course, God rest their souls. Um, like if you work really hard enough, you could have Disney or Pixar or any other animation studios just like clobber each other just to get the chance just to like contact you and like ask you for be a part of their animation pipeline. But he's really talking about himself. He's like one day these companies are going to realize how good of an animator Howard Wimhurst is. I'm like, let's calm down, bud. You can't even like draw a decently appealing like humanoid character. You got animation down, but anything like in regards to like character animation, he's not really that good at that. Um, Now, when it comes to you know just trying to get your stuff out there, um, well, just practice. Just keep working on it. Keep posting stuff. Keep updating. Just keep on keeping on, and eventually you will find success. Maybe not success in the way that you had imagined it, but it would be success in some way, shape, or form. You know, don't treat your entire life like it's a competition, because eventually you'll get burned out. If that's how you see the world. You know.
Okay, number 5, no two-timing clients. If I'm working on the project, if it's my hand doing the drawing, if it's my mind that's thinking of everything, I don't like to two-time on clients. I don't like to have multiple clients going at the same time because my attention is divided. If your attention is divided, you're probably not giving your best to either of those clients. And it's about making a showreel worthy animation. Instead, I say, I will book you in for this day. If you can wait that long, and it could be months ahead. Sometimes I tell clients like 6 months from now, I'm gonna be free. But until then, I don't have a spot open for you. Can you wait that long? And a lot of the time the client says, I'm sorry, we can't wait that long. Our deadline is 2 months from now or 1 month from now. And I say, best of luck with that. I hope you find someone for animating that. And I think to myself secretly, 1 month deadline? You're not gonna find anyone for that. But anyway, I'm thinking that in my head, but I say, okay, I wish you the best of luck, but I'm afraid I can't because I'm focused on one project at a time.
Well, that's kind of rude of him. He just kind of like wishes the worst for the people that have come in and asked for his own, help in making their project. That are willing to pay him money. It's kind of two-faced there, Howard. A little bit.
This is one of those simple things you can do, a simple rule you can have in place to ensure that you're giving it your very best, that you have top quality, that you're bringing your top quality to the table, unless it's a collab. Now, if you're changing the nature of your business to more of an agency, which is what I do from time to time, I hire on animators and then I get those animators to work for my clients, and then I find that actually it's not that much that I actually have to do a lot of the time. Like I will do quite a lot in post-production perhaps, in just to get it to that level of polish that's my standard. But if it's a collab when I'm bringing on the artists, a lot of it is a waiting game. It's waiting for the artist to be finished so I can send it. And I do see how a good producer can have multiple projects going at a time if they are very mindful of scheduling. You always have to be careful when two-timing your clients, especially if you're soloing it on your own for a project. Number 6, strive for abundance. Whenever an animator, I've found, steps into the space of business and is giving business advice and business talks, I always wince at them when they talk about how they calculate what they're charging. And it goes a little something like this. I calculated how much money I needed for rent from month to month, and then I calculated how much I needed in food expenditure, and that's what I charged the client. And I'm thinking, oh wow, you really are not interested in growing your business at all. You're not interested in growing your capital, your finance. No, that is the baseline just to break even. That is just to survive. That's treading water. You don't want to just survive. It's dangerous to just want to survive. There are so many different factors that can put you out of business in seconds if that's your goal. Abundance is security. You don't have security until there's a nice thick margin on what you're doing, on the expenses that it costs you and the profit that you make. If you can pay for your subscription costs right now for your software, great. But how can you ensure that you're paying them for the next 10 years?
Okay, that was kind of a dumb sentence. How can you make sure you paid off your subscription service for the next 10 years? Well, hell, Howard, if we're going that way, why not make it 20 years? 30, 40, 50, until you're dead, 80 years or whatever. Yeah, no, I wouldn't really take pricing assistance from Howard Wimhurst, of all people, considering the fact he charges $500 for his, mediocre courses. Oh, except for the latest one, which was, like $300, and then he bumped it up to $500 after like the first month's sale, because there's just gonna be a lot less traffic after that. So he's like, well, if people want to buy my courses, they're gonna have to pay 200% premium, because that's just how much I'm worth after 30 days. Yeah, no. He's kind of greedy, and he even tells you in the previous video I've gone over. He says he's like, it's good to invite a little bit of greed into your life. And look, I'm not suggesting that animators need to not get paid what they're worth. Animation is time consuming, even in regards to just regular old art. It's very time consuming. And what you should be charging people is enough to cost for rent, food, and all of your expenses. Maybe charge 20% past that. So you have some money to spend, or anything past the baseline of like 10% or whatever, for like anything past that for like profits is what you should be charging, I would say, unless you're taking a bunch of low-level commissions, in which case just if you take a lot of them and they're really easy to pump out for you, do that. And then you'll make a good profit, and it's quick, easy, and cheap for you to do. But I wouldn't take advice from Howard Wimhurst in regards to this, because he is money hungry, and not in a way in which you would want to be as an animator. Everything he can think of to get money out of his viewers, the people that come in and subscribe to him to learn animation, he'll do. He's not like Vibsy Pop or the guy who makes a Fox in Space, or like any of these other animators out here. He's not looking to like get paid so he can keep working on his series or whatever, anything like that. He wants you to buy courses so you can theoretically learn how to make it big as an animator, and then that's how he makes his money. So this is not anything more than him telling you that you need to buy his business course. That's all this is. So.
Number 7, multi-purpose projects. If you're animating, if you're spending screen time drawing, put that OBS recorder on, screen record all of it. From those recordings, you can make YouTube videos out of it, and you can promote it. If you've made a minute long footage, cut that up afterwards into little GIFs, post it on Tumblr. Maybe one of them will take off, go viral on Tumblr. Maybe it will get shared and reposted, and that's more exposure for the project. Post little micro bits on TikTok, little stories on Instagram. Cut it up into micro content. Can you do a little behind the scenes documentary? I worked on one project for Chad Rivera. It was a very small, humble project that I just felt like doing because I thought it would be a lot of fun, and it was a lot of fun for a small-time client, a small-time YouTube channel. And I made the video, and the video did okay. It's one of the highest performing videos on Chad's channel. But I also made a little making of documentary, and I called it something like how I made this insane water bending animation. So it kind of links to Avatar. And that video that was about making the animation, that has more than 1 million views on YouTube. It basically took off, it went to the moon. That was just a byproduct. You never know when the byproducts of these things are going to be super helpful. Another such example is when I recorded reference footage for my animations. I'm always recording reference footage, right? I bought a treadmill so that I could actually have walk cycle and run cycle reference footage in my animation that I'm making. Okay, now I've got a treadmill. That's a good investment. That's something that most people don't have in their houses. Now I have a treadmill, I can actually use that treadmill. I can actually make more of these. Like while I've got the cameras set up and everything, I'm gonna make more and I'm gonna package it up and I'm gonna sell it as reference footage for animators. So I'm selling to animators. I need a custom brush for an animation. So I'm making all these custom brushes while I'm working. I'm saving those custom brushes and now I'm packaging them up, selling them online. I made thousands of dollars from selling these custom brushes that no one else has. So I'm using every part of this. I'm even thinking like before I take on a project, I'm actually thinking like, how can I make this a multi-purpose project? I've got an animation in the works that I would really like to do, and it's like a music video, right? First thing I do is I actually contact the artist. This is a video I want to do anyway. I contact the artist and ask them if they will commission me to make the video. So I ask them for funding. You never know, they might say yes, and then I get to make the project of my dreams, right? But beyond that, I'm thinking I would actually like to use Blender for this project and make it a 2D, 3D crossover of this animation. This is all just an idea in the works. I haven't made this yet. But I'm thinking to myself, okay, if I make this Blender project, I could actually document the whole process of me learning how to use 2D in Blender. And I could then package that up as a small video course, and I could sell that video course about my journey into Blender Grease Pencil and how I used Blender for my 2D animations. Sell it as a tutorial course, and I could actually work with an expert in Blender already. I could commission that expert to do the hard parts of the Blender process and to actually teach me. Look at that. I'm learning, I'm creating a product for animation, for animators. I'm potentially getting commissioned by the artist for doing it, so I'm probably making money up front if it is successful, and I get to make the music video of my dreams. This is multi-purpose animation projects. I'm always looking for multi-purpose projects. Okay.
Again, this is just showing you how greedy Howard is. And I've said it before. Anything he can think of to monetize and sell to his audience of animators that just want to learn how to make animation, he will do. He really wants to get paid off of like what you guys ask. Like, he's the only animation teacher, again, quotation marks for that I've seen do this. It's insane. Like, he's like, I bought a treadmill so I can make reference footage for an animation I was going to work off of. And a lot of people don't have treadmills. You know, treadmills aren't really something that people have in their lives. They're kind of like they're a foreign object. You know, not many. I'm only one of the only people that has a treadmill in existence. So that was expense. So I should make money off of it. So then he's like, so this is how you know that Motion Labs, you don't need Motion Labs. You can just do it. You can just make the reference yourself, or find it online for free. You don't need Motion Labs. That's just something that Howard was thinking of. He's like, I really want to make money any way I can. If he could sell a box of pencils and tell animators that this box of pencils will like cut, it will like create the in betweens for your hand drawn animation, even if it's like digital or whatever, and he could sell that, and people bought it and like believed him, he would do it. Anything Howard can to make a quick buck, right? Right, bud.
8. No pitching. This comes from reading this book that completely changed my outlook on animation. It's called The Win Without Pitching Manifesto by Blair Enns. So Blair Enns is the guy who's the expert on this. If you get into corporate animation, which you may not go down that road, but when we get to the high rollers of animation where it's big companies, we're talking like Coca-Cola and stuff, there is this culture of bidding for projects. It's where animation studios and animation agencies, design agencies, they're expected to create free work up front for these clients so that the client can just look and, like an audition, pick the ones that they like the most. I, just like Blair Enns, have decided I'm not doing that. I don't do that. My portfolio that I have created over many years of animation is an accurate statement on my animation abilities so far. So I can at least create animation work that is as good as what I'm showing in my portfolio. And that should be enough. So if a client needs to know if I'm competent at making the project, all they need to do is look in my portfolio. I have between 15 and 20 different case studies on my portfolio where I actually detail, just for the client, I show the client not only the results that I've gotten from my previous clients, but also the process that I took them through with testimonials and everything. So if that's not enough evidence, then we can't work together. If that's not enough evidence for them that I can do my job. The pitching is very one-sided. You don't get paid anything for these pitches, so it's just wasted work and wasted time if you don't win the bid. So I don't pitch. Number 9.
Again, what fantasy world is this man living in? Anyone that's on your Howard, anyone that's on your channel is not going to you to learn how to pitch. I mean about, pitching stuff to like really big companies. Like, I don't understand. He needs to just take, especially this one because it's so stupid, the no pitching rollout. Basically, if you're an artist and you are getting commissioned for something and people are saying, I want you to do something for me for free before I take you on, very simply, just don't do it. Don't do it. And if it's a company of all sources of commissions, why on earth would they be pitching? Would they want you to pitch? That just seems like fraud or something, like a scam artist. They obviously, if you have a company and they're going to you, they want to work with you. They're not trying to scam you by saying, "Oh, hey, there's like 3 other animators over here." A specific individual we came to. We just wanted you to like test your abilities out in like a Mortal Kombat fight scenario between these 3 other people. If I could just have you like battle of the artists over here real quick, we'll pick whoever ends up being the last woman standing, whichever. That's not what happens. That's not something that happens. If someone comes to you and they want to commission you, they're offering money, then you don't have to pitch to them. You've already got them. And no, I can't think of any company that's going up to some singular individual artist and saying you have to pitch something to us before we'll work with you. Your art would already stand on its own. This is just like a nothing burger of tip, because it's not going to happen to you or anyone anytime soon, if at all, ever.
Okay, and number 10, reinvest. I'm talking about reinvesting in your animation abilities as a whole. So what do I mean by that? When you make some profit, which you should make some profit once you've negotiated, once you've done a great job for the client, okay, you'll have some profit. Now, what do you do with that? Do you just sit on it? No, not necessarily. You can actually reinvest that in your business, and I invite you to. This is what I do. So I have gone out and bought a high-end camera that shoots in 4K. I've got loads of tablets. A lot of those tablets are given to me by sponsors, which is why I have so many. Every now and then, if I need the right tablet, I'll buy it because it's an investment. It's reinvesting in my animation abilities. These cameras, yes, most of the time they're for YouTube, but they're also for creating high quality animation reference. I've also bought like DAW software, music composing softwares, for when I want to really finely tune the sound effects and the soundscapes and sometimes the music soundtrack for my animations. It comes in handy, it really does. Education is the major one you can have. Reinvest in your animation education. Don't think that just because you did a successful animation project that you've learned everything there is to know about animation. You've got to keep learning. You've got to keep learning forever because the industry is improving, and to keep up with that industry, you need to also be learning and improving to keep up with them. So reinvest in animation is very important, very important. Number 11.
Okay, in regards to the education bit, how it's very important, it's very important to Howard, because that's how he makes most of his money nowadays, is through the business animation courses that he has. That's his bread and butter now. That's what he does. That's why he only still has 15 case studies instead of anything past that. Despite the fact he's had that site up for like, I don't know how many years now, quite a few. And the one thing I will give Howard is that it is good to reinvest in animation. I used to have a not so good laptop, and then I switched for a better laptop. I switched out a $300 laptop to an $1,100 laptop, and the results kind of spoke for themselves. The processing power of it was much better. It just was an overall faster, more high quality machine. I think in some ways you should reinvest, in other ways you don't have to. I don't spend anything for art software. I can go through Blender and Krita, and they're entirely free. Of course, you can also send donations to them, but other than that, they're basically free. You don't need to sign up for any subscription to get them. But in regards to like anything that happens to be like you need for animation, or YouTube making, mic, microphone, pop filter, Wacom tablet, pen, your film editing software, all that good stuff. Those would be a good things you would want for reinvesting in animation. So I will give him that is actually one okay tip if you disregard the educational bit, because it's just him shilling for himself.
Invest your profits. So once I've bought all of this gear, which I have, this gear isn't going anywhere. It's mine now. I don't need to spend more money on it. There are some things that I need to spend recurrent costs on. One of them is subscription fees. And subscription fees can be substantial. But beyond that, there's still plenty of profit. What do I do with that profit? Do I sit on it? But I actually invest it. So I've gone through the phase of trying to be an active investor and choosing particular stocks and things to invest in, to put my money in. And my big conclusion of that is that I am not an investor. I am an animator, I'm not an investor. I don't have the right temperament for investing. I'm not Warren Buffett. And to even think that I am capable of doing what Warren Buffett does is just delusional. It's completely delusional. So what I do instead is I invest particularly in ETFs and bonds. So the S&P 500 is probably the best one you can do, which is the 500 highest performing American companies. So you just put it there and it's going to grow over time. It grows with the economy. The economy grows and it grows over time. Otherwise, if you just sit on the money, it's going to actually depreciate in value because of inflation. So a year from now, that money might not be worth as much, but 10 years from now, it definitely won't be as much as it is now. So in order to keep up with that, you got to invest it. I would say investing it in the S&P 500 is a pretty safe bet. And the great thing about it is you don't have to do anything. All you do is you invest it and it just sits there, and hopefully it just makes money over time.
I want everyone to be aware of, again, this is from a course that's like $500. And this man literally just like grammatically like screwed up really hard. He's like, there's always the chance won't, but that's life. There's always the chance it won't. That's life. That's what it should be, not is. But anyways, no. I do not suggest investing unless you know what you're doing, because economies like to fall sometimes. They're not as durable as people might think. Think of the 2008 recession when everyone's 401k crapped out. Stuff like that happens all the time. Again, I would just say, basically, just save the money instead. Unless you do know what you're doing when it comes to investing. In that case, invest. But if you don't, saving your money is a lot better than potentially losing whatever you put in.
Number 12, curate talent. This one's going to be probably different for you as it is for me, but you might have noticed if you follow me on YouTube that I organize animation contests and animation events. And the primary motivation of this is not a business motivation. It is purely to just give back to the community and to give animators a chance, because I wish when I was a young animator, when I was much less experienced, I wish that someone gave me a chance. And instead I had to just fight tooth and nail every step of the way, and I had to do it all myself. And the only person that did actually was Josiah Brooks, who is a fantastic human in my eyes, and I've often seen him as like a role model for me. But for a while, he had a showcase which showcased animations, and one of my animations got onto that, and he actually called it out by name. He said, this animation by Howard Wimsos is what you're going to see next, and it looks I really like the look of this one. It was something just really small like that, and it meant a lot to me. So I now am trying to do that as much as I can to the other animators that are coming up now. So it wasn't a business decision. However, I do benefit from it. It's great how karma works that way, doesn't it? You do something good for the community and something good happens back. It's a curation of talent. This is one of those things that can actually grow your solo business, just you working on everything, having to draw all those in-betweens yourself. It can grow your business quite quickly and effectively into an agency if you want, into an agency or a virtual studio, as you might want to call it. So I would say you need to be on the lookout. I would say if you're trying to grow in that way, you should be on the lookout for talent. Now, there are opportunities here. The riskier the animator is, the better the deal is for you if you're willing to take that risk. So I quite often will work with very risky animators. And by that, what I mean is like they have no finished, like polished animations in their show reel. It's all just works in progress. With my eye, because I'm an expert in animation, I can see that they understand animation really well and that they actually offer something very exciting when it comes to the animation product. An example of this is working with Blazel. He had no finished animations. They were all just works in progress, but I could see it. I could see that there was huge potential in him. It was a big risk on my part, and therefore I couldn't pay him as much because I had to make sure that if he just didn't come through and he didn't deliver, that I would pick up the pieces, you know? And that did kind of happen in a way, but he also provided some really good animation and the project was a huge success. So this comes from curating talent. Oh, and by the way I found Blazel was through my animation community challenges that I host. What I'm saying is, if you are looking to expand into a virtual studio and you want to deploy your client's budget effectively, the way you do that is you've got to be on the social media sites that these animators are on. You'll find a lot of up and coming animators, really talented animators on Twitter. So I'm on Twitter sometimes. I will look through Twitter occasionally, every now and then, to find and identify those up and coming, those rising stars in animation. And I try and give them opportunities because I know that in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, I won't be able to work with them because they'll be in too much demand and they won't want to work with me because they'll have loads of opportunities then. But that's the thing, it's like me now. I have loads of opportunities now, but I wish there were people giving me those opportunities 7, 8, 9 years ago or 10 years ago. It's helping them and it's also helping you because you grow your network, curate that talent, keep a contact list. I've got spreadsheets of animators that I know I can call up and ask them to work on a project. So these are my 12, hopefully I haven't been rambling for too long. That's my strategy in a nutshell. You can take or leave any of these points, but hopefully they've given you something to think about. And I am going to elaborate on lots of these points, so don't you worry. Okay, that's the end of that video.
Again, I don't really know what Howard is going on about here. Okay, so like, if you're taking this course of his that this is plucked from, and it is like titled "How to Get More Commissions as the Animator" course, why would they be trying to curate talent? I feel like he doesn't understand the target demographic of the course he's selling. I'm like, dude, all these people want is to learn how to make commissions so that way they have like food, a place over their head, and savings. They're not trying to make an all-star animation team, you know. And I mean, you can do that, but that's not what this stupid course is trying to sell itself as. It's trying to sell itself as like an investment where you can, you know, make more money by knowing the price of what you're negotiating for when it comes to your animation commissions that you make. So the curate talent part of it is stupid and it doesn't really make sense with the theming of the whole course in general. And he's by the way, he's not really trying to help animators. Let me just set that straight right now. All he's doing is just, you know, he's trying to look like he's giving people a chance when it comes to like the Animator Guild challenges. That, you know, like he's like, oh, I'm the host of it. No, you're not the host of the Animator Guild challenges. You set the challenges up so that way you have content to put on your side channel, so that way you can make more money off the revenue of the side channel. You're not doing it out of the kindness of your heart. You're doing it just so you can get more money out of people. People that, you know, are putting their heart and soul into the animation. You just think, I really need to make a quick buck off of this. Like he's said in this video, he's always trying to think of new revenue streams. Any way he can pinch a couple pennies out of the animators and just general public that watches his videos. Any way he can, he's gonna get money out of you through your clicks, your views, working on stuff for free in his challenges, buying his bunk courses, buying his hoodies, NFTs, like meme coins, whatever he can think of. That's what he's going to sell to you. Um, I just don't think that you should buy um, anything from him at all, except for commissions, I suppose. If you really like his work, commission. But anything educational, wouldn't even call it educational, really. I would you know, be against personally. Me, I would be against you spending money on his stuff because it's really overpriced and not worth it. Anyways, yeah, that's all I gotta say for this one. If you gotten this far, like, subscribe, comment, hate comment, do all that fun little stuff. Try to have a video out again soon, and just gonna keep working on my series. So, okay, bye guys.